Yes.
All right. Very nice. Very nice.
Uh,
All right. So VOD review today.
yes.
All right. Let's do it.
Uh, it's actually a game where I totally screw up. I scout a lot, and but I know I do many mistakes, even though I can see what happened, what they wanna play, and yeah,
Gotcha.
I feel so clueless in this game.
Sure.
So,
Yeah. Let's take a look.
um, do you want me to start it or
Yeah. 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 Go for it.
okay?
Oh, nice. You got Warwick. Pretty cool.
Yeah,
Okay. Nice.
I
Yeah.
just bought it for the mythic
Yeah.
thing.
Good. I would buy the whole shop too, especially this early. Like if you don't really have the option to make 10, buying the whole shop is a good call. I like that. Okay, so we have a bow.
Yeah,
Um, hmm. Yeah, I'd be waiting here to see what component we have. I would definitely hold on to Vex for sure here because you could also do play a Rebel opener if you get a set. So you like your options right now are like Rebel and Family. So I would definitely, which you did, which is good. So
yeah,
okay, okay, pause here. Okay, so we don't really have super clear direction, right? So when you're
yeah,
making decisions about augments and stuff like that, you don't
yeah,
have any upgrades that is pushing you into any like item slams or anything like that, right? So you have Nashor's Tooth, you have Guard Breaker, and you have Last Whisper. You don't
yeah,
have you don't have upgraded units for AD and you don't have upgraded units for AP, right? And obviously you don't know your next shop.
yeah,
So typically, right, typically there's a little bit more tailored items. So like normally you would have like a sword, a tier, and a rod, and you're like, okay, well I know I'm playing AP. Here you can kind of go either way. For me, in a situation like this where we know that we're not playing a strong opener, taking something more economy oriented or kind of direction oriented, meaning like shield bash or like scapegoat would be kind of my personal preference. Um,
yeah,
However, I would always just because of a weak opener, I would always side on the side of like a scapegoat econ start because more than likely with no upgrades as of now and then not really any crazy slammable items, um, you're probably losing most of stage two, so you might as well just commit to losing the whole thing. So that's what I would do.
yeah.
So let's let it run and see what let's see what you do. Okay. So I know why you ended up this way. Okay. So pause, right? So let's kind of talk
Yeah.
about this. I know exactly why you made this decision, and it's because it was an S tier labeled augment. Don't do that, right? I know it can be very tempting because like these quote unquote statistically not statistic tools that they're definitely
Yeah.
not collecting data anymore, right? They're not
Yeah,
showing
yeah.
average placements. They are, right? Like you can pay $2, $3 a month for like the Patreon subscription to Meta TFT and see all of the statistics that they've collected through their add-on. So this stuff it creates a bias in you, and this is why I say like listen, don't get me wrong, I play with add-ons
Yeah.
too, right? Like I play with them, but like I don't rely on them, and all of the major decisions that I make are independent of what the statistics are saying. So like for example, right, we took a
Yeah.
very committed augment here, so like you have to play
Yeah.
Sentinelheimer, You have to play like
Yeah.
Sentinel snipers. You have to play something Sentinel frontline now. And there's
Yes.
absolutely nothing here that is pushing you really into that direction because you don't have an item holder for a Last Whisperer. Nashor's Tooth is not a great slam. You have no upgrades. You want to try and maximize based off of the position that you're in. And here, we already know that we're losing. So if we know that
Yeah.
we're going to lose, why take a combat augment? You see what I'm saying? So then Scapegoat
Yeah.
makes a lot more sense because, hey, we already know that we're going to struggle, right? We want to
Yeah.
make as much gold as possible so that we can spike later on and keep our options way more open. So the worst
Yeah.
thing that you can do, kind of in summary, the worst thing that you can do for yourself is to play from behind and restricted. So the restriction being, hey, I've now taken a very push me in this direction kind of augment with the Sentinel tailored augment. So now you're
Yeah.
playing from kind of essentially because you're going to lose a health deficit, right? With not as many options. When you're playing from behind, you want as many options open as possible. That's why you don't slam items, and that's why you don't take very committed
Mm.
augments when you what's it called when you're lost streaking, because
Yeah.
and this is kind of where it follows with the theory, right? Is if you don't have health as a resource anymore, right? And like let's say you're at 60 health, right? And someone playing
Yeah.
a similar or identical or they're playing the same core units as you, like Rebel uses Alawi, that's probably going to be your main frontline unit. A lot of comps use Alawi. A lot of
Yeah.
the sniper comps use Loris, right? A lot of the
Yes.
enforcer comp uses Loris, so it's a top comp that someone's going to play. If you're playing
Yes.
from 40 health less than them and you're contested and you don't hit, you no longer have time on your side. And if you roll too much gold and you invest too much, it's just immediate eighth place. That's why I always say try and keep your options a little bit more open here.
Yes.
Make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. It does.
Now, if you had like an Irelia 2 and like a Draven 2 or like an Ezreal or something here, and like you had like Rebel opener, Ezreal, upgraded Sentinel unit, gonna slam Last Whisper, throw Belt on my Irelia, and then level and play Loris, absolutely agree with this decision, but it just doesn't make sense here.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right? So let it run. All right, so I definitely would not level
Yeah.
here. So kind of your prerequisites when you're leveling, right? You're holding on to a lot of pairs here. So if you rewind, right? If you rewind like 10 seconds before you level, right? So we take
Uh.
this and then we just pause it like right after we take the augment, right? Like we're holding on to
Uh.
Lux pair.
Take it.
You're good. You're good.
Yeah. Yeah. It's.
Right here. Yeah. Yeah. So you take shield bash
Yeah.
and then I like that you scouted though before you took your augment. That's a good thing. Keep doing that. So like pause here, right? You're holding on to
Yeah.
Lux pair. You have Violet pair, right? You have
Yeah.
Draven pair in your shop. You have a Darius in your shop. You have Irelia pair as well. You have
Yeah.
75% odds to hit if you just stay level 3 for one more round. When you level,
Yeah.
you sell a bunch of things to level, and then you lose
Yeah.
odds to upgrade units, and then also 2 pairs.
Yeah. And my board is piss weak.
Right, right, right. So here, right, if we kind of look down at this 75, 25, 0, 0, 0, we want to,
Yeah.
we're banking on this 75. If we grab this Draven pair and we kind of sell off some of these straggler units, like maybe like get rid of Trundle because we're clearly playing around Sentinels now. If we hold on to
Yeah.
this Draven pair, we're banking on we hit Lux upgrade, Irelia upgrade, Draven upgrade, and maybe a Violet upgrade, staying level 3. Leveling kind of takes those
Yeah.
that opportunity away from us.
Yeah.
Make sense?
Yes, it does.
So it's okay to sack the first round, right? So if you sack the first round and then you don't find upgrades, then you commit to losing. And then if you do find upgrades, then you sack one round to win 4.
Yeah.
All right?
Yes.
Make sense?
It does.
Sweet. All right.
So let's say I hold all the pairs and like I get 2 or 3 upgrades
Level
after I
100%.
lost. Yeah. Okay. So you will level afterwards.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
So you're kind of so the way it goes is like you hit upgrades, you have a position that can be winning, especially because of how flexible your items are here, right? You can go
Yeah.
Last Whisper or Nashor's Tooth. You can play Lux, you can play Draven, you can play, and then that kind of starts to steer you into a direction if you do hit upgrades, because now you're
Yeah.
playing from a win streak, you're playing from a head, right? And then you're saying, okay, now I have health, which converts to time as a resource. I can kind of just force myself into really anything here because I'm not afraid of dying.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Let's run it up. Also, too, when you're kind of playing from a position like this, I would always try
Yeah.
and get Conqueror in, you know. So like we sell two pairs there, right? We got rid of Violet and we got rid of Lux. So we kind of
Yeah.
just restricted ourselves. We had four pairs and now we're down to 2.
Yeah.
And then it kind of proves itself here, right? Because we're gonna lose anyway.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So then it kind of just circles back. Like the proof is kind of in the gameplay itself as well. Like the game is now punishing you for making this decision. That like we've invested 4 gold into leveling, we've sold our pairs and reduced our chances of hitting upgrades, and we still lost. That's like the trifecta of things you don't want to do.
Yeah. I mean, it's I'm so dumb doing that. Like really often, I just level. It's just I don't know something I've always been doing, and I need to think about not just how to level when I can.
Yeah, because I mean, like you don't. So like even in this shop, you don't hit pairs. So even if we stay level 3 and like hypothetically we didn't hit pairs, we just lose the rest of the stage, and then we have all of our options on the table. Right? We still didn't slam any
Yeah.
items yet, so we still have that open. So we're essentially playing like the way that you're playing this. You're playing it almost correctly, right? Where like you're not
Yeah.
slamming items, you're kind of not really investing a lot of money, but then you're just making it slightly harder on yourself by like putting money into leveling and selling pairs.
Yeah.
Whereas we right now we could be 10 gold and still have all those pairs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But like here, when you hit 2, 3,
Uh-huh.
I need to at least have 10 goals here, right? At
No,
least.
so you're already kind of committed into this Sentinel line, right? So
Yeah.
the next worst thing that you could do is sell units off of your board and take away your core units to hit this econ threshold. If you
Yeah.
can't make money here, right, then you just either
Hmm.
pre-level or just hold on to these pairs. Like I mean, there's a. I mean, I don't know about holding an Akali pair. Probably me. I would just pre-level and just pray you hit something useful next shop. But I would say really here you could go one of two. I mean, oh man, you're already ping ponging, right? So you lost the first one, won the second one.
Yeah.
Um, hmm.
I would.
Honestly,
I mean,
I would
I'm
probably
sure.
pre-level. I probably wouldn't hold on to anything here. I would just probably pre-level.
I don't think even. my board is so weak, so I don't think even I would win, even though I pre-level her.
Yeah, yeah. So the point of pre-leveling, right, is like you can't make 20 gold, right? Because you don't want to sell the units that you're playing around, right? So like you're
Yo,
playing Shield
yeah,
Bash, you're playing Sentinel. You don't want to like
yeah,
sell Loris and Rel or something like that, or like Singed
yeah,
Irelia and then Rel, but keep Loris, and then play like two units, take a worse loss, and then have to re-find the units that you want to play anyway. If you can't make 20 gold here, you just pre-level to increase your shop odds next turn to hit something useful like a 3 or a 4 cost. It
yeah,
happens more often than not. So, and it also too can give you some direction if you hit early enough. And it can also too stabilize you. So I would pre-level here because it doesn't hurt your economy. You can't make 20 anyway, and it doesn't drop you below 10. And a Kali pair is not really that important, I would say. It's not really like a whoa, a Kali 2-star. So I would just try and bank on like hitting like an Ezreal or something next shop and just pre-level.
yeah,
But if you had more stuff on your bench, yeah, I would definitely sell and then sit and then just make 20. But or if you hit an upgrade here, I'd probably level and try and win streak. But yeah, so does that make sense?
yeah, yeah,
Okay. So stage two is pretty important, right? A lot of people kind of disqualify stage two because they're like, oh, it's just the start to the game, not a big deal. I have a lot of room to kind of course correct and everything like that. A
yeah,
lot of a lot can be if you correct stage two, it sets you up to play the game better the rest of the stage because it puts you in a better position to make kind of more logical decisions. Um, because stage two is kind of where you start to get a feel for what you can and can't play,
yeah,
and it also to help. It's obviously where you're building your economy. So like if you don't start building early on, you're gonna get punished later on. So man, you won this too, which is crazy. Yeah, definitely
yeah.
pre-leveling here makes a lot of sense. So you just buy XP once and then just chill.
Yeah, so there will be good units in my next shop. Makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, there's a world where we take belt here. I would say make Warmogs and then like Last Whisper, and then play around like Heimer plus Corky. Nice. Okay, I like it. Definitely on Loris, by the way. So like,
Yeah, I'm just I, here. I can remember. I just think should I just slam Womax? I'm just thinking like Womax here. Just no.
you also too, right? Like if you level here, you could play like Maddie plus Zeri and then throw in Ezreal as well. And then you have like a really strong front and back line, and you can make Last Whisper here very comfortably.
Wait, you said what? Maddie and
Yeah, Maddie and Zeri. So if you level, right, and then you put
yeah,
in Ezreal, and then you cut two of the what you call it, Sentinels, you could play around
Sentinels.
Maddie and
Yeah,
Zeri, right, and make Last Whisper, or you could even keep the four Sentinels and just level and play Ezreal. Since you're already on a two streak, right, you want to try and keep this. So you should
yeah,
level here. You already slammed an item, right? So you should
yeah,
probably make this Last Whisper. Definitely should level here, and then definitely should play some kind of backline unit, whether it's Ezreal plus four Sentinels to take more advantage of Shield Bash, or like if people are playing a lot of like solo backline carries, maybe throwing in Maddie to try and snipe them off in the backline. Something like that, I would say, is probably the next best play here. I would probably go four Sentinel plus Ezreal, but I could see an argument where people play Zeri plus Maddie and Ezreal. But kind of situational.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So I don't think I would win here anyways if I
Right. So
level.
so scouting before making these decisions too is pretty important, right? So kind of like
Yeah.
weighing into like if this is like the one guy that I mean honestly, there's a world where you do beat this guy with an Ezreal on the Last Whisperer
Yeah.
because Loris is kind of huge and Shield Bash does a lot of damage. So
Yeah. Yeah. I would win here totally.
I mean also too like you have what 3, 6 with Ezreal, 7, 8 with Irelia Singed, and then 10. He has 7, 10. He has slightly more board value than you, but you have a better augment. He has Cluttered Mind. You have a combat augment, so you would beat him.
Yeah.
Also, too, that's something that people don't do very often is count gold on boards to determine who will win. Like that's like one of the biggest things that you can do to like predict. And if you're like close in board value, whoever has more like better augments, like you have probably one of the best augments for the opener that you have. Like four
Yeah.
Sentinel with Shield Bash, not a whole lot beats that. Especially with a Warmog slam on stage too. 3, 6, 7, 10. Yeah, you probably beat this guy with Ezreal.
Yeah. So I would four streak if I just.
Yeah. Four streaks save a lot of health, and you would have a lot more clear direction because you would have Last Whisperer down, and you would know that you would have to play around like Corki and Heimer with like Sentinels. Yep. See, and you picked the right comp too. So
Yeah.
it's not. So just for like clarity purposes, right? And you can keep letting it
Yeah.
play. For clarity purposes, typically when you're in these kind of situations, right, where you're like you kind of hit a wall, right?
Yeah.
It's not the macro play. Like if you're like Emerald or Diamond, you're making the right macro decisions of like, okay, I should probably make these items. I should probably play this comp. It's the getting there. It's all of the decisions leading up to the actual execution that really
Yeah.
make or break the difference of placement. Which also too, Ezreal and Tristana here is kind of crazy. Oh,
Yeah.
definitely do not sell Tristana there.
Yeah. I feel like I want to make 50, but I don't know.
So here's the thing, right? So here's the thing, and this is something that players can kind of get a little bit sucked down the hole with, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to make economy to a fault. And what I mean by that is you're sacrificing like Tristana is a unit you need, right? So kind of
Yeah.
follow the logic with me here, right? In this situation, you're playing for Sentinel, right? You know that you're going to be
Yeah.
playing around either Academy or Rebel or Artillerist, right? With Ezreal, you have two
Yeah.
bows, you have a glove and a sword. You can make red buff and an Infinity Edge. You can make a Last Whisper and a GS very comfortably, which red buff and Infinity Edge would be the right decision there. But besides the point, you know that your next in is going to be an artillerist, whether it's Urgot or Tristana or Corki or whatever, to make your board as strong as possible. You've been
Yeah.
gifted a Tristana that gives you two artillerist and emissary that makes your board infinitely stronger, and all you have to do is level to 6 to play it, right?
Yeah.
You're losing 1 gold of interest for a unit that you know that you're going to play within the next turn or two. Absolutely hold on to it because you don't
Yeah.
want to get now to 3-1 or 3-2 and say, well, shit, I need an Urgot or Tristana. Why did I sell it? Okay, I made 1 more interest gold, but now I need a roll to find it, or I need to now keep losing until I natural it.
Yeah.
So 1 gold for a guaranteed outcome, or invest 20, 30 gold into trying to find Tristana, Urgot, whatever, not really worth it. Or if you don't roll, which I'm not saying you should, then losing all of that HP hoping you find one. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So definitely hold on to it here.
Okay.
All right. All right, and like even more of a reason, right? Like you hit Singed upgrade, you play Tristana here, and then you level to 6, and then you just play 2 Artillerists, 4 Sentinel, and then you just slam, slam, slam items.
Oh, so here with 60 gold, 3-1, it would be fine if I just leveled here when I had like
Tristana,
59 gold, I
yeah.
guess. Yeah.
So, but here's the thing, right? So all of these kind of teaching things that we're talking about, these are not
Yeah.
always things, right? They're not things that you're always going to do, right? So
Yeah.
situationally, because like if we held on to that Tristana, we hit an upgrade, right? If I
Yeah.
held on to this Tristana and it's sitting on my bench, and I see I get a Singe 2, I have 4 Sentinel, I have a red buff, an Infinity Edge, and a Cloak. I know I can
Yeah.
make 2 really good items. I can make a synergy that buffs the unit that I'm putting those items on and have a
Yeah.
really strong board through the mid game to win streak into my transition. I'm absolutely doing that. At the cost of
Yeah.
1 interest gold, because you're going to drop into the 40s here, I
Yeah.
absolutely would do that.
Yeah. And another thing, it's like in 3-1, I've heard that it's okay to hit like 34 gold
Yeah,
if you can win streak.
yes, yes, yes. I think the number is 32, but I might be wrong. I think the sweet number is 32.
Yeah, I
34 or
mean,
32.
yeah, 32 is like if you know you will, if you always, I think 32 is when you're already on a streak.
Okay, then 34. Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. You're right.
something like that. Yeah,
Absolutely though would go for a win streak here, especially because the items that you have. So
yeah,
kind of another thing to keep in mind here, right? So item
yeah,
maximization, right,
yeah,
and item strength. So like you need anti heal, right? So
yeah,
two things you need every game, whether you play AP or AD. You need shred or sunder, depending on what you're playing, right? And then you
yeah,
need anti heal every game. You need Sunfire
yeah,
Cape, Morello, Red Buff, Last Whisper, Even Shroud, Ionic Spark, Static Shiv. Right? You need that like
yeah.
or it needs to be in your augments in some way. Like I know that there's augments that like I don't remember what it's called, but it like decays the MR and
Yeah,
AD of the front line or whatever. Like or if you're playing a unit that gives you it. So like Powder gives you anti heal, Urgot gives you like
shred,
shred,
shred.
right? So like if you're playing a comp that somehow integrates that in, then fine, you don't need to build the items. But here you're not going to be playing one of those units, right? So you need to make those
Yeah,
items. Here, red buff is a better option because it gives you Infinity Edge. So it gives you
yeah.
a better item, right, in terms of damage. Infinity Edge is better than GS because there's very few units at this stage in the game that has the
Oh,
health
yeah,
requirements to actually make GS work correctly. So you get more
yeah,
damage out of it, and you have your attack speed and anti-heal item. Especially on Corky, because his cast hits 4 or 5 units when he casts, he's hitting like the whole board.
yeah,
So just kind of keep that in mind when you're making these choices. Always try and go for I would take red buff Infinity Edge over Last Whisper and Giant Slayer any day on stage
yeah.
3.
Okay,
All right.
I can see what you mean. Yeah, it makes sense.
So not bad items, right? But there's better. So that's kind of like what we're focusing on. It's not a bad choice. It's just not optimal.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And now that you're in Diamond and you're trying to climb into Masters, it's going to become infinitely more readily apparent that things are not optimal. And like those very tiny like decisions of red buff Infinity Edge versus GS Last Whisper is going to make all of the difference. And I said this
yeah,
to another student the other day. TFT is not, so like if you pause right here, this proves my point. TFT is not a game that you can learn through positive reinforcement, right? And I'm not sure if I said this to you, but like for example, right? You made suboptimal items, right? So you made
Yeah,
Giant Slayer and Last Whisperer, and then you still beat this guy.
yeah,
So just human psychology says, okay, I did the right thing. But it's not. We had a better opportunity here to have a stronger mid game, and this win says, okay, Giant Slayer and Last Whisper is good in this situation, and it's not. You see what I'm saying?
yeah,
So
yeah.
you
So
want to be able to zoom out in these situations, especially when you're reviewing your own videos or doing a coaching session, to say, hey, you know what? I actually should have done something differently there, and then not make that mistake again in the future.
yeah, so like early early game, like stage 2 and 3. If I can make IE or something else, then Giant Slayer, I will always do that.
Typically, yeah, typically scaling items. So I'm gonna kind of give you a little secret hack here. Any any item that is composed of two of the same components, so bow, chain, cloak, belt, you get the point, are
Yeah.
going to be almost all the time your stronger options earlier into the game.
Okay.
So typically, right, and obviously there's your exceptions, right? So like Deathblade on stage 2 is stronger than Infinity Edge. Same thing with Deathcap versus Archangels, because the
Yeah,
fights
because
don't
it's
last
flat.
long enough, right?
Yeah, and it's
So like
flat. Yeah, and it's flat, right?
right. So like it fights don't last long enough, or like the units don't meet the health requirement to proc Giant Slayer, right?
Yeah.
Now, like, there is a world in which, like, you make Giant Slayer on stage 2 or 3. Like, if you see 4 people are playing Twitch Bruiser, sure,
Yeah.
right? Situationally, you can say, hey, I did my due diligence, right? And I scouted and I saw that, almost the whole lobby is playing Bruisers, or Bruisers gets buffed, and there's more comps that come out because of it. Yeah,
Yeah.
then you can make that argument, right? But your kind of exceptions to that double component rule are going to be Sunfire Cape, really strong slam, Static Shiv, Ionic Spark. I think that's it. I might be missing one.
Yeah.
I mean, Morello's not bad either. Morello was better back in the day, but you get the point. There's a couple
Yeah.
exceptions, but you know, for the most part, double component items like Warmog's great slam. Like I'm very happy that you did that. Great slam to choose belt there. Could have went Sunfire Cape as well, and that last carousel would have been also too good. But I liked Warmog's, especially playing Sentinel. But you get the point.
Yeah. Yeah, I do.
Good. All right. So we already know. Okay, just time out here, right?
Yeah.
Before we even look at these augments, right? So this is
Yeah.
where you can't be persuaded by what it by A or B tier augments. You got to think situationally, right? We already have a Giant
Yeah.
Slayer. We already have a Last Whisper. We know that we're playing Sentinels. We know that we're playing Sentinel Heimer with Corki, right?
Yeah.
So we already took a combat augment, right?
Yeah.
We want to keep it rolling, right? So like let's let the clip play, and then kind of before we even read what these augments do, right? We should already have that in our head. Like
Yeah.
last round, we should be saying to ourselves, okay, I know what I'm playing. Before I even look at these augments, let me kind of look for something I need, as opposed to like
Yeah.
what's S tier or B tier or something like that. So let's let the
Yeah.
clip play and let's see what decision we make. Okay, timeout. Let's rewind.
Uh,
All right, good. You can just let it roll from here.
yeah.
Okay, pause. Why vampiric vitality? I'm
Uh,
not saying it's the wrong choice. I'm not saying that. I'm just it's not a loaded question.
I mean, I really like the augment, and I don't like magic roll because I feel like there's too many bad. Uh, there can be too many bad things,
Gotcha.
and I'm really not fan of category 5.
Gotcha. All right. Yeah, I mean, I would say most of the time, unless I mean you're playing a ranged carry, right? So you're
Yeah,
playing Corki, you're playing Heimer, you're not really playing Mbessa, you're not playing kind of any of those units that require Omnivamp.
yeah,
You're probably gonna end up making a Gunblade for Heimer anyway. So for me, Vampiric doesn't make a whole lot of sense because it's not like you're if your front line is dying and Ezreal needs Omnivamp, you've probably already lost the round. Does that make sense?
yeah,
And given that Sentinels, yeah, like you could argue with Shield Bash, okay, you're healing a little bit, but like they're not damage units, they're tanks, right? And then like that
yeah.
healing and damage later into the game is going to become negligible. Not really a strong choice in Augment here. I would say, if
Okay,
anything, Category 5 makes more sense. I would roll Vampiric Vitality and Magic Roll and then kind of see what we get that's maybe better, potentially rolling category 5 after I see options 2 and 3 if there's at least one other pickable one out of those. But I don't know. I mean, there is sometimes, like if people are playing Swain or like Elise or something like that, where like your backline is getting damaged, or like LeBlanc and there's a lot of Black Rose players, like there could be
yeah,
a world in which I see Vampiric Vitality working. But and you're also too like not super low on health, so the 20% of damage that you deal to tacticians, you healing for that, not really a main benefit either. It's not like you're 60 healthier and you're trying to make a comeback. So not really
yeah.
a whole lot of value out of this unless there's a very specific reason. And I would say you would need to scout, and there would need to be like a 1% kind of one-off thing that would make you take this. I would probably prefer pretty much anything else here.
Okay,
Now, if you were playing like Violet and like Family and stuff like that, okay, like Violet's a frontline unit, playing like Gangplank, that kind of stuff. Like I could see, okay, taking Vampiric Fatality if I haven't made a healing item yet, or maybe making my healing a little bit stronger. Yeah, okay, I could see that working out. Maybe angling towards pit fighters, but here you're kind of locked, right? You know you're playing Heimer
yeah,
Corki. You know that like Heimer's best items is blue buff, Archangels, and Gunblade, and you already have two items for Corki. Not really a whole lot of necessity for Omnivamp.
yeah,
You see what I'm saying?
yeah, yeah. I do.
All right, let it run. So this is kind of that situation like I was talking about, right? If we held on to
Yeah,
Tristana, then we would have our next in.
yeah,
You see what I'm saying?
yeah. I do.
Actually, I actually think Maddie's stronger here because of Enforcer, especially with Loris and Shield Bash.
Yeah,
Just a little FYI, a little micro. I'm being picky, but like that's why you're getting help. I like that. Nice. I like the swap. Good. You read my mind.
yeah. And the reason why I actually pick her here, it's like I hope she can one shot maybe a unit,
Mm-hmm.
uh, like at least finish it off
Yeah.
with the ability.
Gotcha. So we see GS wasn't kicking in there.
Yeah,
Nice. That's a big upgrade. Very nice. Okay, there you go. So the why behind why. Okay, don't sell Urgot.
Yeah,
Always hold on to him, right? Because if you randomly hit a Corki, then you have four artillerist.
yeah,
So like another thing here, right? Just to kind of keep in mind, and you can keep letting it play. It's not like a pause thing.
yeah,
But like if you hold on to Urgot and then next turn you get a Corki on carousel, you very easily could just go fast nine.
yeah. So I actually have a question here.
Sure.
Would you? So I have four sentinel.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. And two artillerists, and let's say I kept the Urgot,
Yeah.
and then I will get a corgi in the carousel.
Uh huh.
What would my best board be? Would it still be like four sentinel, but and two artillerists, and then I just a uh, fast nine right away, or what
So
should I do in
so
this
yeah.
situation?
So like if you hit Corki, you would probably be leveling to 7, right, on 3-5.
Yeah,
So, given that, I would say it kind of comes down to what your lobby is. So, like, if people have a lot of damage, like if people are playing a lot of reroll, then you would probably keep 4 Sentinel and play 3 Artillerist, and then whenever you could reach 8 comfortably, then play 4. If people
yeah.
weren't playing a lot of damage and Loris 2 plus, like, Singed would be enough, I would play 4 Artillerist.
Okay.
Which probably in a Diamond 4 game, Loris 2 with Warmogs and Cloak and a Singed is plenty of frontline. I'm
Yeah.
going to throw that kind of out there. I would say probably I'm going for Artillerist 2 Sentinel here.
Okay.
Yeah. And then you still get, a third Sentinel. You just don't get the 4 Sentinel bonus. So you're still taking
Yeah.
advantage of your Shield Bash. You're just not getting as many frontline stats, if you will.
Yeah. Yeah.
I hope there's not a Corki on carousel.
Mm. Yeah, because that would be sad.
So a lot of this too, right, is predicting, right? So you're trying to predict
Yeah.
the future. So like good, right? So you don't, but it wouldn't hurt. It wouldn't have hurt you to hold on to Urgot, right? Like it wouldn't have damaged your
Yeah.
economy. So like it's preparing. Like okay, I have 3 artillerists. I'm prepared to see a Corki on carousel, and if I don't, I'm going to adjust my gameplay accordingly. Also, too, in terms
Yeah.
of itemization, when you have open components, especially frontline ones, make sure that you're scouting to see what actually is the more worthwhile item. Because if this lobby is more AP heavy, you want to go Dragon Claw
Yeah.
here. The monkey is here.
Yeah.
Everyone takes 10 damage. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. It's quite the encounter.
Yeah. I hate that one.
All right, so I would already be mentally preparing myself to roll like an absolute maniac on like 4-1-4-2 on level 8.
Yeah.
Because like, yeah, we have Loris too. Yes, we kind of have like our core board kind of set up, but like don't really have a whole lot of damage and upgrades on the back line. So I would be rolling to at least see like a Corki 1-star and a Heimer 1-star, or like an upgraded Corki without Heimer, or vice versa, something. Like, especially because
Yeah.
our items are more AD tailored, I would be like Ezreal 2, 4 Artillerist with Corki 1-star, and that's enough for me to stop something. I don't think Heimer would be enough because you don't have any AP items. But
Yeah.
so, kind of also too, planning ahead is a big part of this too, because like typically players will kind of just go like vacant here and they won't think, and then they get to the
Yeah,
part where they need to think, and then they're thinking for half the time that they should be rolling and already know what they're doing, and then they
yeah,
transition too slow, and then they die. That's why playing
yeah,
from
yeah.
behind for a lot of people is really hard, and it really shouldn't be.
Yeah, I mean, it is really hard for me, like, believe playing from the behind. I feel like I'm always a step back behind everyone else.
So the way that you get ahead, okay? So the way that
Yeah,
you get ahead is by thinking ahead, is by making those predictions. So like holding on
yeah,
to Urgot and anticipating a Corki, right? Because you know already what you would do if you
yeah,
didn't have Corki. But now that you don't have an Urgot, what would you do if you got a Corki? You see what I'm saying?
yeah, yeah,
And then you get a Corki, and then you're like, fuck, now I need an Urgot. And then you like level up, and then you start rolling, and it's like, well, that's not correct either. Don't do that. You see what I'm saying?
yeah,
So then you kind of get set into panic mode when kind of things fall into your lap, and then it's like the panic mode makes you make very poor decisions, and then like it's
yeah,
like, well, how did I lose this? I got a Corki on stage 3, and it's like, well,
yeah,
you rolled 40 gold at level 7.
yeah. So here I also think like fuck.
Yeah.
I feel like here I think it's over. When these things happen, like he just randomly got uh, Heimer and Ilau in the shop.
Right.
What what can I do like different?
You gotta wait. That's it. You just gotta wait until it's
Okay.
correct to make decisions. Like I would level the 7 here, right? So that right now, actually no, because you're already pre-leveled. What am I saying? Your next turn it's level 7. Okay, cool. So like you got units you needed. Great. I mean, I'm holding on to Loris and I'm holding on to Tristana here. So
Yeah.
time out real quick because this is a really bad habit, and hopefully anyone that watches this VOD the whole way through, stop putting points into leveling. It irks the shit out of me that people do it. I hate
Yeah.
it because this is exact. I really hope a student of mine watches this because this is exactly the situation that happens to people. Is like you definitely want to hold on to Tristana pair, right? So like that's just
Yeah.
inevitable, and that takes you to 50 gold. If you buy Loris here, right, you're now below 50 when you
Yeah.
didn't need to be. And then, like, let's say you get, 2, 3 gold here, you're just breaking even when you could have more cushion to say, hey,
Yeah.
I'm not going to lose economy because you're not getting anything from buying XP. It's not making the game, it's not making your board stronger, it's not increasing your shop odds. It is a really bad habit that people do. Put the points into experience at the end of the round before the round that you're supposed to level. Like 4-1, put the points into leveling because who knows? Next shop you could get 4 copies of Corki. You could get
Yeah.
you could get a whole shop of Corkis. It's happened to me. I was rolling one time, and I got a full shop of Twitches. I got 5 Twitches in one shop. So like
Shit.
just just that's like kind of a bad habit that yes that's not something that consistently happens, but it's not saving you a lot of time either. Like you're not rolling on 7 and then you know that 4-2 you're probably going level 8. No need to rush here.
Yeah. Mm.
Okay, Loris 3 is on the table. Okay, not a fan of this one.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is where we really fucked ourselves. Okay, like
Yeah.
pretty badly. Why do you think I'm saying that?
Because I level around too early. Because we don't have any gold to roll.
Right. So there's one of two options here, right? There's a world. I think you leveled with 28, right?
Yeah,
There's a world in which it's okay to level and then not roll. So you just level up and you just put in
yeah,
a unit, make your board slightly stronger by throwing, an extra level to save some HP, right? Maybe kill a couple more units, and then, next turn or the turn after that, you roll down. I typically don't like to do that unless I'm heavily win streaking or my board is already upgraded. So like if I had an Ezreal 2 here and I just hit like a Tristana 2 star, right? I would level
yeah.
to 28 gold and I would put in some bullshit, right? I would throw in a random
Okay.
unit. But like
Yeah,
here nothing's really saying that like leveling makes sense to make my board stronger. Just wait the extra turn. You know what I mean? Also
yeah.
too,
I
Gunblade
uh
right
yeah,
here. Gunblade, Vampiric, right? We talked about that. Gonna make a
yeah,
Gunblade for Heimer. No need. So just, I'm getting really good at predicting this stuff.
yeah, yeah. So my what I'm thinking here is I know there's someone with Heimer, and I feel like I'm in such a bad spot that I need just to high roll a Heimer or something, a Corgi. So yeah,
so, so I understand that, right? And this is one of those panic moments, right?
yeah,
So let me kind of clarify, right? You need to
yeah,
set yourself. I don't really like the term high rolling, and this is not like a personal thing with you, right? It's just like in
yeah,
general with the game, because the only way that people high roll is by setting themselves up for success. It's like a
yeah,
calculated prediction, right? So like
yeah,
we know that leveling to 8 and rolling realistically 10 gold because you need gold to buy units and upgrade them. So
yeah,
14 gold you're really rolling after you buy your units. And like, you're holding on to 2 Lorises. So if you hit Loris, you're going to buy him too. So
yeah,
realistically, you're rolling 10 gold here, right? In 5
yeah,
shop rolls, realistically, statistically, when it takes 15 shop rolls as opposed to 5 to actually hit a 4 cost unit, especially upgrading it,
yeah,
statistically not in your favor. And then now we have
yeah,
no economy to play off of, and we're just at the mercy of what the game gives us.
yeah,
You get what I'm saying?
yeah. I do.
So honestly, I would much rather you wait here until 4-2 or 4-3 to roll comfortably with a lot of gold and at least maybe find a Twitch 2. Find Twitch, find a Caitlyn, and pivot to snipers.
Yeah,
Play 6 Sentinel and 2 Sniper. Who says that you can't? You have Enforcer. Okay, you don't play Experiment. Who cares? Like honestly, who plays Experiment anyway when they play Twitch, right? Unless you have a Spat or you have a Bruiser emblem, right? Like who's playing Experiment? It doesn't matter. You're playing for placement here. You know what I mean?
yeah,
You have so many options because at the end of the day, right? And this is another thing that people get really tripped up on is like
yeah,
they match Sentinel or they match Bruiser or they match whatever their front line is to like a very specific comp. They're like, okay, well, I can only play this.
yeah,
Not true, right? TFT is literally, in layman's terms, a game of frontline and backline. If you have good frontline and if you have good backline damage, you will win consistently and have average placements that are good. So here, even if we hit like a Heimer, right, and we play like 3 Academy and we play around like Jason Heimer, you could play Jace carry with Heimer, right? There's a world where you top
yeah,
four with that as well, especially having Giant Slayer, Last Whisper, and a Gunblade on bench, right? You could go for a bow on Carousel and play Twitch very comfortably here. Um, you could even drop out of 6 Sentinel and play Emissaries, right? If you found a Corki, like
yeah,
there's a lot of different ways that you could like take this to make it successful. Don't get super duper locked in on, okay, well, I'm playing Sentinel, I have to play Heimer and Corki. Be a little bit more open ended. Like if you found a Twitch 2 star here, you're playing Twitch plus 6 Sentinel. all
Okay.
day.
Makes sense. Mm,
All right, so we're making so when you're all right. So also too, don't just a really easy thing to change. Don't roll
yeah.
below 10 gold, because
Okay.
realistically, even if you found like a Corki here or something, you would have to
Yeah.
sell essentially your whole bench and like all of the important stuff on your bench. Like you need an Ezreal 2, right? You're two off of
Yeah.
Loris 3, right? So you would have to sell pretty much all of that to afford a Corki. And then like you're kind of walking back in your pairs again to like
Yeah.
upgrade or to get a slightly better unit for a round or two, and then if you like hit Ezreal 2, it would actually be stronger than Corki. All right. Um okay. It definitely is not belt overflow. I'll tell you that for free.
Yeah. Mm,
Okay, that's a good roll too because you don't have a lot of time. It's definitely not fucking anger issues. I don't even know why that's an augment. I don't get it.
nah.
I hate that one. Honestly,
Yeah.
Coronation, I'm the carry now. Kind of both pretty good. I actually like Coronation. I think it's actually a really good one because it gives you like an extra unit to play, helps buy you some more time, and it also too gives you really good combat stats on your carry, which would be Corki, right? And he does
Yeah.
really good with attack speed and attack damage, and he has some ability power scaling.
Yeah.
I could see a world. I could see a world. That's
Yeah.
what I would probably take just to try and like buy myself some more time, kind of get the unit advantage at least, and like build up some
Yeah.
economy to roll again. But
Yeah.
Blazing Soul's okay, but I still think Coronation is better. Yeah, I like that. That's a good choice.
Right there, I'm so clueless. Like, I don't know what I should put Hodge on.
So you should probably just throw it on like Lux to give her the Academy stats, and then just make Gunblade because these are going to be your Corki items, right? And then you could just sell Lux for Heimer. Yeah, I like that. I like that. I feel like this is like playing a live game. I swear, you're like making the the choices after I say it in a VOD review. It's kind of
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
Because I
I
mean,
think
because
I
realistically,
think
Alawi doesn't do anything. She auto attacks like
yeah.
4 times. I mean, she does have that like draining thing. I guess it could be Alawi. I guess it could be. I don't know. That's hard to say because you have Shield Bash, you have Vampiric, so she already has a
Yeah.
lot. I mean, I guess it could be Hodge Alawi just for some more healing. Yeah, it probably is. It probably is. I guess it depends on who's doing more damage. Yeah, it was Alawi.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense. Okay, cool, great. Okay,
So I'm thinking,
okay, so definitely not the right choice. Definitely not the right choice. So I would say here, okay, we're three lives left.
yeah.
I think Loris 3 is out of the question, right? Like, I don't think
Yeah.
we can keep being greedy. Like, I think we'd literally just sell Loris on our bench and just try and roll to hit a Corki.
Yeah.
Just to stabilize. Because, like, if we lose one more I mean, you could lose one more and play with two lives, but I never feel comfortable playing with two lives. Some people do. I think three lives is kind of my cutoff because you're bound to have at least one bad matchup. So
Yeah,
I would say probably three lives is my cutoff. And
yeah.
27, 30, depending on how strong the lobby is, I think is kind of where that lands. Oh shit, 4-star Draven.
Yeah. And as a big I can, yeah.
So like now just imagine, right? Now just imagine we kind of walk this game backwards and we make the decision to take scapegoat. We would have infinitely more gold here.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, we can just take it like two turns back, and if I just like started here or here, I will also be in a much better spot
Yeah.
right now. If I instead of just leveling on 4-1 and thinking like, I need to do something.
Yeah. The only time I would really say leveling on like 4-1 makes sense to level 8 is like you're crazy win streaking or you're crazy loss streaking.
Yeah.
And like it's like kind of more of like a I'm really gonna press my advantage or like I'm dead next
Yeah.
turn. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, I mean, I have been in a spot a few times where I died just after the carousel. So I see what you mean.
yeah, I mean this game is kind of fucked at this point. I mean there's not really
Yeah.
you can like unless you hit something crazy, I mean there's not really a whole lot you can do.
Yeah. So here I think, just yeah.
It's a Hail Mary, I got you.
Yeah.
I got you. Yeah. So, I mean, kind of just walking it back, kind of, since this game is winding down, right?
Yeah.
You know, all in all, not horrible, right? So, like, and I kind of want to make that very clear, right? And this is what I mean. This is what I mean by TFT is not something that you can learn with positive reinforcement.
Yeah.
It overall, you didn't make bad decisions. Like, they weren't terrible. Like, it's not like your decision making was so unbelievably flawed that this game was unwinnable, right? Like you made some good choices, right? Like I pointed those out.
Yeah.
Keep doing those things. But there was some stuff, kind of some preemptive, you know, kind of more predictive things that we could have been a little bit better at with kind of getting ourselves ahead and maybe playing a little bit more predictive and being a little bit more patient with certain things that
Yeah,
could have resulted a little bit better for us. Now I don't know, right? Like you could have done all of the right things and still lost this game, but there was definitely
yeah, yeah,
things that we definitely could have improved on that would have at least put us in a better contention for winning.
yeah,
Makes sense.
yeah. But one of the things, like when I play fast 8 comp, I really I really feel uncomfortable in the mid game.
Gotcha. Okay.
Uh, like e- every game, I feel like just in a second I just get so weak and I just lose everything, and then I panic and often go eighth or something.
Gotcha. And what? Why do you think that is?
Um, I feel like when I win streak, I'm being too comfortable. I'm not pushing, like I'm not using tempo that I should, and when I'm behind, I feel like clueless. I don't know what I should do.
Right. Yeah. No. Definitely. Definitely the cluelessness is coming from not thinking ahead. Right. So that's kind of like
Yeah,
what I was kind of hinting at when we were kind of talking through this game. Right. Is like, hey,
yeah,
like I'm playing artillerist. I have an Ezreal. Hey, I have three artillerists. I need a Corki to make four. Hey, carousel is next turn. Maybe it doesn't hurt my economy. Maybe I should probably hold on to this Urgot. Right. Like
yeah,
it's those things, and I'm not saying that's overnight gonna just skyrocket you through the ranks, right? So don't take it like like crazy and run with it, but it's small things like that that being like prepared and ready for situations is going to make all the more difference, right? So like
yeah,
for me, what I would have done this game is I would have said, great, I know I'm playing around Sentinel as a front line. Whatever I'm
yeah,
hitting, I would prefer to play Heimer and Corky. However,
yeah.
if I don't hit Heimer and Corky, what's my plan B? What's my plan C? What's my plan D, my plan E, and my plan F? What do I do if I don't get those units? How can I not
So
go eighth? That's my biggest question to myself every game.
okay, so I could I could actually play sniper with sentinel, or artillerist, for artillerist and sentinel. Maybe what's yeah, maybe sniper or artillerist, if or even I could even, I don't know, if I had some APA items, play like Silco or something.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and again, like these are not like they're not going to be top winning comps, right? Like you're like these are not like you're playing for first place. We're talking
No,
about,
no.
hey, game's not going super well. What's the best way that I can lose the least amount of LP? Does that make
Yeah,
sense?
yeah,
And at the end of the day, right, TFT is not all about winning, right? And I think that's kind of a thing that really kind of messes with people is like it's not just I need to top four every game. There is games, whether you play them really well or really poorly or whatever, you're just not going to
yeah,
top four every game. But there is a world where you can control and completely eliminate seventh and eighth places from 99% of your games.
yeah,
And that just kind of comes with doing your due diligence with scouting, being prepared, formulating plans, having a fallback plan, being able to react to things that fall into your lap. Kind of what I'm hinting at.
yeah. I feel like that's one of my biggest problem. I don't have like backup plans. Like, what if I don't hit like Heimer or Corgi in this situation, what do I do then? Uh,
If you don't hit
I
Corgi,
really, yeah, I don't
you play
think so.
around Jace, you play around Twitch, you play around Caitlyn if you hit it. You could hypothetically, being that close to Loris, you could always roll on 7 and go for Ezreal 3 and Loris 3 and play around that. You could, Jesus. Oh, what else? Who's other AD carries? I mean, there's a world where you could play like
GP,
yeah, you
maybe.
could play GP, but you didn't have any copies. So I'm trying to think of like things that are kind of close to the board that you were playing. Like
Yeah,
Ezreal reroll, like you could have done that. Like again, it's not a first place comp. It probably won't even top 4, but hey, maybe you get 5th. You know what I mean? Maybe you get 5th.
yeah,
You know, and that's a lot better than 8th, especially when you're climbing and especially when you cross into that master plus threshold and you're not going off of, you know, Diamond 4, Diamond 3, Diamond 2, your Masters 200 LP, you don't want to get minus 80. You know what I mean? You want to try and
yeah.
minimize that as much as possible.
I mean, my LP gain is it's terrible. I can be like top three games in a row, and then I hit seventh, and I'm at the rate LP again.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, man. That's all I got. Do you got questions or anything more for me?
Uh, so around. So I actually have a question about. I'm not always when I'm this open from the start, and I really have this. Uh, so how do I know, uh, or just how can I pinpoint what's the right decision? Is it just if I totally I will never look at the like A or B or C around here.
So just to
I will,
clarify, right? The right
yeah,
decision is not something again, like I mentioned before.
yeah,
It's not an always thing, right? So to
yeah,
make the right decision, it's assessing your situation, what's even possible from your situation, what your
yeah,
situation is pointing to, what items you have available, what units you have available, what other people are playing, what other people have as items, to then weigh into, hey, you know what? I don't have upgraded units. I don't have items to slam. I'm incentivized to take something economy that incentivizes me to lose, right? Scapegoat
yeah,
incentivizes you to lose because you're mispositioning your units to make the training dummy die. And then by
yeah,
virtue of having bad positioning and unupgraded units, you're going to maintain a loss streak, you know, gain the gold through scapegoat, stack a loss streak up, and then roll later on. Whereas, hey,
yeah,
you know what? I have an Irelia 2-star. I have, you know, a set, and I have a Vex, and I have a Spear of Shojin and a Rod. Sure, maybe I will play Shield Bash and get that Loris, play 3 Rebel, have an upgraded unit, level up, you know, play the Loris, have 2 Sentinel. You
yeah,
see what I'm getting at? Where it kind of
yeah, yeah,
the right decision will be more logical and it will make more sense if you kind of account for more things into the decision. It's not just this is a good augment, right? Augments, items, they're good only situationally. Shield Bash is an S tier augment if you already have Sentinels and a board to play it with. If you
yeah.
let me kind of make this example more extreme, right? Let's say you're offered Shield Bash on stage 3 when you had a 4 bruiser frontline. Would you take it? No.
No,
Why? It's a great augment.
yeah, but I have like it don't make sense.
Exactly. It's the same thing for
Yeah,
stage 2. The same kind of logic. You can whenever you're kind of confused about it, think about in kind of a more extreme scenario, would you make the same decision? Okay, it's stage 4 and You already have Twitch and 6 Bruiser. Would you take Shield Bash? Absolutely not, because your board is already settled. So if your board is settled on stage 2 to be a losing board, right, and you have the
Yeah.
option to take an economy augment, and you know that the items that you have are really not good slammable items because they don't match up with units and they're not strong, the ones that
Yeah.
do, there you go. Your board is
Yeah.
situated. You know exactly what the right answer is.
Yes.
You see what I'm
So
saying?
yeah, like if I feel like I have a strong early board, it would be much better if I just take combat augment, and if I feel it's a bit weak, it would be better with like scapegoat or any gold earning augment,
Yeah,
something like that.
for sure.
Um, but like let's say in this situation, it's not scapegoat, but it's like what's called shimmer or something. It's where you can choose from. I think it's three. Of the three gold earning items like collector, gameless blade, and there's one more. Uh, that's also a gold earning augment, but would that be a good choice if let's say it was here?
So again, right? So like the artifact items and stuff like that, right? This is kind of what you're
Yeah,
asking about, and the shimmer
yeah,
items. Yeah. So those kind of items, they think about this, right?
yeah.
Those items require you to do what to make gold?
Um, uh, collector is like you need to kill them. And Gameless Blade is like you just need to hit fast at least.
Right. Keep going. Mogul's Mail.
Uh, you need to have a really tanky frontline.
Right.
Uh,
So
at
kind of
least
let's
a
just
really
stop there.
tanky unit.
Right?
Yeah,
By virtue of all of those parameters, right? I need to
yeah,
kill units. I need
yeah,
to live long enough to where my auto attacks make Gambler's Blade proc. And I
yeah,
need to live, my front line needs to live long enough to have Mogul's Mail proc.
yeah,
What does a weak board not do? Any of that.
yeah, yeah,
You see what I'm saying?
yeah, yeah,
So, like, an Irelia 1-star, 9 times out of 10, is not going to consistently and reliably proc Mogul's Mail. Likewise, a Draven 1-star is not going to consistently and reliably proc Gold Collector or Gambler's Blade, especially if your entire board is 1-starred and isn't synergizing, no upgrades, because the board is not living long enough. You're getting 1 or 2 auto attacks off with, a 10% chance to drop gold. It's not really stacked in your favor. So essentially, you're
yeah,
taking a dead augment and you're playing down an augment in that case.
yeah,
See what I'm getting at?
yeah, yeah. Uh, but if we go over to like after I take this and right here I feel like it's a fine board, but let's say I didn't take Sentinel Bash.
Right.
How can how do I know what comps I maybe could have pivoted over to, like if I get contested or something?
Well,
Can
it comes down to items, right? So in a
yeah,
situation like this, you have backline items and
yeah,
or you have AD items. Let's put it that way,
yeah,
because you could play a
yeah,
Nessa or something with these items, and you have frontline items. So
yeah,
you're not really stuck on any one comp or any one line if you don't take Shield Bash.
Yeah.
right? So you're at this juncture, you're really just playing more of what you're hitting. So like if you hit a random Twitch 2, right? Like and obviously there's a lot of factors that go into this decision making. There's probably 1,000 different ways to play this, position, but like let's say you hit like a
Yeah.
Twitch 2 star. Okay, so you could play 2 sniper plus 6 sentinel, until, you save up enough money or you fast 9, and then maybe you transition over to Heimer, and then you play Jason 9, and you find a Corki, and then you pivot. Or there's a world where you play, 4 Sniper and 6 Sentinel, and you go level 10, and that's a fine board. I actually did that, by the way, in one of my games, and I got first place. Um, so I am actually taking my own medicine here. Um,
Yeah.
so like this is just if you don't have Shield Bash here, and there's
Yeah.
nothing pushing you in a direction, it comes down to your items. And if your items don't give you direction, then it comes down to what you're hitting based off of the kind of damage that your items are doing. So, like, you have 80
Yeah.
items, whatever 80 unit you use that can become a carry, then you build a board around that. Like, there is a world here where you take a sword on carousel and then, Bloodthirster, GS, Last Whisper, Mbessa, and you play like some Conqueror, Quick Striker, Emissary board with Corki as a backup carry. Like you could do that.
Okay.
It just kind of comes down to what you're hitting, if you don't have very clear direction. Most games you will have clear direction, but yeah.
Yeah.
All
I
right.
feel like I also need to think a bit more creative, uh, like not only thinking about what counts is the best, like, and a bit more like,
Favorable.
yeah,
Yeah, that's what I would say. I would say kind of just you always want to aim for the ideal stuff. Like you always want to kind of aim for like the meta stuff because they're going to perform better, and then kind of have your backup plans that like as you're rolling, if you see Mbessa and you see Garen and you have items that you could play her and you're not hitting Twitch or Corki or Heimer, then you play that, and vice versa.
yeah,
If you're like in a position to play Emissary and then you're rolling and you don't hit all of your emissaries, but you hit, Twitch, again, front line and back line, right? Don't make the game
yeah,
more complex than it needs to be. And that's why you see a lot of challenger players end up on some really odd boards because they're not thinking about, well, this is meta, right? Well, this is what meta TFT says I have to play, so therefore it's good. They're saying, okay,
yeah,
this is what's available to me. These are the items I had. These are the augments I took, and I'm going to operate within those parameters.
yeah,
You feel me?
yeah. I do, I do.
Good. Good, 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 good.
Uh, so I actually have some more questions,
Sure.
but that's more like if you take this,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
so let's say I play like Nocturne,
Right.
Reroll, or Violet. Um, something, one of these, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I have like, let's say on Nocturne, like I have these items.
Sure.
Yeah. And I'm in a fine spot and everything is good.
Yeah.
So how do I know where to like position him? Like I know he needs to at least go to their carry,
Um.
or like if they play something, I don't know, Heimer or Silco or something. How do I know where he should be so he uh, don't get punished straight away? Like he just die
So kind
straight
of
away.
so so this is very situational, and positioning takes a
Yeah,
lot of time to master. But typically, so if like let's just grab like a random unit like Loris, right? Just grab like Loris or whatever frontline unit you find. Yeah. So like
Yeah.
let's say Loris is your main tank, which I know it's not. Like
Yeah.
it would be like Blitzcrank or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
You always are gonna try and position Loris on. Oh, give me 1 second. What? All right, sorry. You're always going to try and position on the side where your main carry is with the main care the or excuse me. You're always going to position your carry behind your main tank on the same side as their carry. So like for example, right, if you put gargoyles onto Loris and you put like Warmogs and let's say a Dragon Claw, right? Let's put those
Yeah.
onto Loris, right? Let's say, right, like in theory, there's a
Yeah.
Heimer up near the Discord symbol on the browser in the settings gear sign, right? So like
Yeah.
they're playing the same side as you. Well, you want to position Loris right on the same side anyway because you're incentivized with Gargoyle because you want him to take all of the aggro, so it gives you more armor
Yeah.
and magic resistance. And so if you're already doing that, and this unit is going to be soaking all of your damage and be getting a lot of value and staying alive a lot longer than, let's say, a Irelia 2-star on the left side, then we probably want to position it that way so that my Nocturne can deal as much damage without being targeted for as long as possible
Yeah.
until he reaches obviously a winning position to kill the board. Now there is some exceptions, like if like let's say like grab Nocturne and put him top left real quick. Yeah.
Like here.
Yeah. And then let's say like put like a Loris in the middle of the board on their side. Like
Just
right.
another Loris.
Yeah, grab like
Or
another Loris.
oh.
It's all good. The scrolling makes it hard. Yeah, and then put it up in like the front line, right? So like let's say you have a full line of sentinels here, right? Like
Yeah.
this is just an example. You wouldn't actually play this, but like let's say next to Nocturne is a sentinel, and then all the way over to the next corner is like frontline units or something, right? Well,
Yeah.
this Nocturne being positioned here, if you scroll down and then grab like let's say like Silco, grab like Silco or something, a backline carry, anything. Put him
Yeah.
like top left. No, no, no.
Or
Yeah,
here.
yeah, yeah.
Here.
My bad. So like
And oh,
let's
it's
say
top
you
left.
have
Yeah.
like a full line of units here, right? And then like this guy
Yeah.
is playing like let's say one or two frontline units. There's a world where you literally just walk right to his Silco because your frontline units wrap around this Loris, and then your Nocturne then targets Silco, and you kill him
Yeah.
faster than he kills you. Right? So there's like those kind of unique positioning, or like even if Silco, right, is like on the right side, so like move him over, and then let's like say that in the center of the board, like 2 hexes to the left of Silco, right
Yeah.
there is like another carry that this guy's playing, like a LeBlanc, and kind of similar
Yeah.
positioning.
So like
Yeah,
this.
actually, just copy Loris like a bunch of times. And I'll kind of just give you like a
How how do you get
I don't know, just grab a
just
bunch of them. Just click on him, like scroll down and just click Loris a bunch of times. Yeah, perfect. So like positioning like this, right?
yeah.
So the Loris next to Nocturne and the one next
Yeah.
to that Loris is gonna wrap around the Loris on their side, and then your
Yeah.
Nocturne is gonna walk diagonally right to LeBlanc and kill it.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? So like
Yeah.
there's those kind of like you can kind of like cheat the system a little bit. Or if you position, let's say like Nocturne, grab Nocturne real quick
Yeah.
and move him down 1 hex and over 1 hex. Yeah. So like this gives like your front line enough time to wrap around so that you make sure that your Nocturne is getting to this LeBlanc.
Okay.
And like likewise too, like even if you position Nocturne, like so move Nocturne 3 hexes over 1, 2, 3 to that one. This positioning as well also too almost guarantees you to hit Silco.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So there's some times where you can like, and this is kind of ballpark. It's kind of more of a feel thing that you develop when you're playing like melee carries. of like the way that the targeting system works. We can go more in depth about it, so I can give you like a 100% accurate answer, but we don't have enough time left to do that. But this is kind of like a general, like if we're trying to get to the back line versus like kind of just general positioning, that's kind of what you would
Yeah.
do.
Okay. So it's just like when I play Nocturne or Violet or AD frontline, I should play him like this, more like
Yeah,
this.
like that,
Then
or yeah, so like either like so okay, so here's the thing, right? You always want, so like right there, that's fine if you're not trying to wrap around,
yeah.
right? So that or in the pocket. So move it one over to the right, sorry. So
Oh,
like yeah. So right there and then one hex to the left is fine if you're not trying to wrap around. If you go two hexes in from either side, so obviously this side is the pocket side, so you need to move
yeah,
two hexes in to be behind two tanks, or
yeah,
you move one hex in on the left side to be behind two tanks. That's what you would
yeah.
want to do to wrap around.
Okay, but uh, so when let's just make these. So let's say they got like this, and I
Yeah,
have this front line. How I can't like rub around here.
yeah.
So the ideal positioning would not be like
Behind your
here.
main tank. So it would literally just be
So
behind your main tank.
just here
Yeah,
or
so
like here.
right there, because you know that you're not going to be able to get to the back line, so you want to be
Yeah,
able to move as quickly to his front line as possible without getting targeted, and you want the target to be on Loris.
yeah. So what I actually often have been uh, I have when they are like this,
Yeah,
I often when it starts, Silco, don't hit this, Loris. My Nocturne walks up here, even though let's say there's one here.
yeah,
Let's say they do like this. Uh, Silco and they are fighting, and Silco just start attacking my Nocturne
yeah. So the way
right
that you
away.
get around this, so this positioning of like the staggered carry front line works on the
Yeah,
right side of the board,
yeah,
because of like the hex that's kind of sticking out. For this positioning to not be targeted by Silco, you would put
yeah.
Loris on the top left corner, like your main Loris, and then you would put Nocturne up in the front line. Yep, like that.
Like it?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah, and it'd probably be shifted over like one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and like let's say,
so that would target Nocturne.
yeah.
That wouldn't.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay. I feel like positioning is not something I really have understood that much because I feel like uh, people are talking about positioning like you need to position right and you need to figure it out, but there's not many people who talks about it and let's say helps you um, figure it out, I
yeah.
would say.
We can spend like a good amount of time talking about positioning because like there you should know how to position every unit, and we can
Yeah,
dedicate some time next session to doing that if you'd like.
yeah, because I feel like